Welcome to your first core exercise video. We're going to start with some very basic Pilates movements just to make sure that you get those right muscles activated. So you're going to start lying on your mat with your knees bent, hip width apart. The first thing I want you to do is to find those muscles. Take your fingertips and just gently dig on the inside of your hip bones. And now cough. You should feel some muscles jumping underneath your fingertips. Those are the muscles you want to contract. So I want you to pull your belly button down to your spine and imagine pulling those muscles tightly into the hip bones. Also, you need to think of your pelvic floor. So think of holding in your urine, using those muscles between your pubic bone and your coccyx. The first thing we're going to do is to access that pelvic floor, pull the belly button to the floor, and now tilt the pelvis, just the pelvis, and then release it. And again, tilt your pelvis. And release. It's a very small movement. Think of flattening the tummy into the spine instead of bracing it out. You want to breathe out, breathe in, release. It's also really good to mobilize that lower back and release. Let's take it a little bit higher. Pelvic floor, belly to spine, tilt, just lift the hips. Release the lower back, feel it in the floor, and then release the pelvis to neutral. And pelvic floor, belly to spine, tilt, lift the hips. And lower that lower back first, release the pelvis to neutral. And again, pelvic floor, belly to spine, tilt, see if you can come even higher. And lower the back of the ribs, the lower back, release the pelvis. Let's do one all the way up, tilt, all the way up until you're on those shoulder blades in a bridge and melt it down into the floor, walking through those vertebrae. And again, pelvic floor, belly to spine, tilt, roll it up onto those shoulder blades. And melting it into the floor, release that tail. We're going to do one more and we're going to stay up there. Now, I want you to check the rib cage up there. Check that you're not letting go of that pelvic tilt and arching. You are tilted. Imagine chopsticks between your ribs and your hips. Your ribs are closing in. Your tummy is sinking into your spine. And now you can melt down through the back into the floor. Let's do that one more time and stay up there again. Tilt, rolling it up. Now gently test, lift one foot, place it down. Other foot, place it down. Now the whole time while we do these marches in our bridge, you want to make sure those hips stay level. So we're not letting one hip drop and then the other hip drop. You are zipping up that tummy. You are trying to access that pelvic floor. One more each side. Keep zipping up, pulling the tummy deeply into the spine. And through the back of the ribs, the lower back, we're going to roll down into the released pelvis. One more time. Tilt, rolling it up. Zip it up. Let's do those marches again. Lift and lower. Nice and controlled. Trying to keep those hips up. You might feel those glutes starting to work. You might feel those hamstrings starting to work. Remember, keep that tilt. We have 3 more. We have 2 more. We have 1 more. And now gently release, melting down into the floor. Release that tail. We're going to give the lower half a break. I want you to nod your chin. Imagine you're holding an apricot under your chin. You're going to bring the head and shoulders up and you're going to hover the arms just in line with the hips. Now we're not squeezing the chin into the chest. You're still gently holding that apricot, looking through your knees and releasing it to the floor. And again, nod your chin and breathe out to lift your head and shoulders into your chest lift. Hold it there for an inhale and releasing it down. Let's do that again. Nod your chin and chest lift. Now have a look at your pelvis. You don't want it tilting up. Try and keep it nice and flat so you can balance your teacup and your tea saucer on your pelvis. Releasing it down. Again, nod that chin. Exhale, chest lift. Now we're going to take those arms up, place one hand on top of the other, and we go into a hula. So you take the hands across one knee and back to the middle. Take them across to the other knee and back to the middle, just peeling the shoulder blade off. Rotate and back to the middle, only one more to go. And rotate and back to the middle, releasing it down. You will feel the neck flexors working, so give them a bit of a shake. going to do the same thing, but we're going to cross those fingers and put them behind the head. Have those elbows in a slight upward V, nod your chin and chest lift. Now we want to try not to pull on the neck. Rest your head in your hands. Feel the weight of your head. And again, we rotate. And we're going to go straight to the other side. Just peel the shoulder blade off. And rotate. Think of the opposite hip staying on the floor. And rotate. One more each side. Last one. Rotate. Back to the center. Release it down. Put those arms back down on the floor. And now we're going to work on the lower part of the abs. So, pelvic floor. Belly button to spine. Float one leg. Make sure that lower back stays on the floor. And you're going to float the other leg to join it. Now tap one toe down and lift. Other toe down and lift. And down and lift. Now the further away you take that leg, the more it's going to challenge those abdominals. So if you're a beginner, keep it really close to you. If you really struggle with the back, just work on one side with one foot on the floor to support you. Otherwise, we go alternate legs. If you're feeling nice and strong, you can nod your chin and bring yourself up into your chest lift as well. And take the leg further away. Challenge the core a little bit more. We're going to do 4 more. 3 more. 2 more. 1 more. If your head's up, you're going to lower your head. Make sure that lower back stays on the floor. Gently lower one foot then the other and shake everything out. Now you're going to float one leg up to the ceiling. Make sure that lower back doesn't arch off the floor. Sink the tummy to the spine. And you're going to take opposite arm up. You take arm and leg away from each other and back in. This is your dead bug, but we're doing it with the supporting leg on the floor for a little bit of help. This is your level 1. What you really want to make sure of is that you're not arching your back, because if your abdominals are not working, that lower back's going to stay nice and still on the floor. You're going to keep zipping that tummy out. We're going to do 1 more. And bring it up. Now we're going to place it down. We're going to swap sides. Let's try this again supported. We're going to do another set of these. Remember to keep those ribs in. But I'm going to take it a little bit more advanced. If you're not ready to do it advanced, you come back and you do it like this with your supporting leg on the ground for support. We have 4. And bring it in. We work slowly so we can control the movement. And bring it in. We have 2 more to go. And bringing it in. We have 1 more to go. And bringing it in. Place the leg and the hand down. Give it a shake for a second. Now either you do that again or we float both legs. Now we don't have one leg supporting on the floor. Opposite arm to leg are going to work. Open. And bring it in. We're going for 6 repetitions. 2. And bring it in. Keep the ribs and the hips closed. 3. And bring it in. We're halfway. 4. And bring it in. Almost there. Last 5. 1 more to go. And 6. Bringing it up. First you're going to put both feet down. And now we're going to give yourself a 2-second rest. And now we float the other legs up. Opposite arm to leg. Remember, if you want to stick with a beginner version, it's not a competition with anyone but yourself. And first you need to make sure you're working the correct muscles. So you don't want the back to do all the work. You've got to make sure you keep that back on the floor while we work through these movements. We have 3. And bring it in. We have 2. And bring it in. We have 1. And bring it in. We're going to gently put the feet down. Shake everything out for a moment. Now to come up, the easiest way is to just rock yourself a couple of times to bring it up to seated, or you can roll on your side. We're going to do a couple more core exercises, but we're going to do them on the hands and knees. Okay, let's start with those hands underneath the shoulders and those knees underneath the hips. Make sure that your legs are hip width apart. There's a gap between those knees. And our starting position, we're not completely collapsed. So you're pushing up out of the shoulders and you're drawing that tummy in. Imagine there is a spike coming out of the ground, and if you let the tummy collapse, it's going to collapse onto that spike. So hold that tummy in, make sure that it stays connected, tuck the toes under. We're going to go back to our pelvic tilt and release, but don't let the tummy go. And pelvic tilt and release. And again, pelvic tilt and release. Now I'm also squeezing those bum cheeks, so when you release, try and keep them squeezed. So we're working the glutes as well as the core. Release, don't let the tummy hang. We're going to do one more, and the upper body stays nice and still. Now, we tilt that pelvis, pull the tummy in, hover the knees, hold it there for a second. Release the knees, release the tail. And again, tilt, hover, release, release. And again, tilt, hover, release. When you release, remember, don't let the tummy collapse. And hover, release, release. We're going to do one more. Tilt, hover, release, release. Now, if you need to shake those wrists out in between, you go ahead and do that. Okay. You can also fold the mat over, and you can have your wrists on the edge of the mat if that helps you, or you can go on your fists. So we're going to stay in this position, and again, tummy in, get that tilt, squeeze those glutes, hover those knees. Now take one leg back, take the other leg back so that you're in a plank position. Bring one leg in, other leg in, lower the knees, release the tilt. So the challenge, tilt, hover, is to keep that tilt even when you're in your plank. Now in the plank, you don't want to completely let go, so you've got to tilt that pelvis and draw the core in. Bring one knee in, other knee in, lower the knees, release the tail. Let's do that again. And tilt. And hover. Extend. Extend. Bring it in, lower the knees, release the tail. And again, tilt, pull the belly button in, hover. Extend. Extend. One knee in, other knee in, lower the knees, release. Are you ready? Can we do two more of those? And hover. Extend. Extend. Knee in, lower, release. Last one. Scoop that tummy in and hover. Extend, extend. Knee, lower, release. And take the weight off. Release those wrists. We're almost done with our little bit of core workout for today. It goes very quickly. We're going to take it down onto our forearms now. And you're going to lie down on the mat and point your toes. So now here, if you are completely relaxed, that tummy is just going to collapse into the mat. So I want you to think of tilting that pelvis, pull that tummy in, and now you're going to lift up using your core so that you're on those knees. Now it's very easy to just hang here. You've got to really tilt that pelvis and draw in from the core, and then release it down. And again, tilt the pelvis first, draw the tummy in, and lift up from your core. And lower it down, and at the end you can let it go for a second. And again, tilt the pelvis, pull the belly button in, and release it all the way down. Now here, I want you to come up with a nice long neck, so we get a little bit of a stretch in the front of the body. But again, I'm still pulling my tummy in, I'm not just letting it collapse into the mat. And we go, tilt the pelvis, pull the tummy in, lift, rounding the spine, releasing it, and extend to the top of the head. And again, tilt, sit up that tummy, and around. And if you're lucky, you have a little kitty cat to exercise with you. One more time. And tilt, scoop, and lift. And release. And back. Place the hands underneath the shoulders. And if you want, you can take it into a recovery stretch. Reaching out with those fingers, giving yourself a little break. And bringing it up. And we're going to end up the last little bit to take us into a bit of a stretch. So you have a couple of options here. We're going to start with the knees bent, holding on behind the back of the knees, sitting up as tall as you can. You're going to tilt your pelvis and round your spine, Relax and get all the air out of your chest. Now shift your shoulders behind your hips. Pull that tummy in as deep as you can and keep the back nice and round. You're going to sit up nice and tall and lengthen it up. Now here is one option. If the legs go straight, but you reach it up, take it over and you have a little bit of a stretch. If you can't do that, then you'll bend one knee and you'll take it over and stretch. And we're just going to hold for 8 counts. And you're going to bring it up. Both legs bent, hands behind the legs. And again, tilt the pelvis, scoot the tummy in around the spine, shift the shoulders behind the hips. Pull that tummy deeper. Make sure you are rounded into your C curve. Sit up nice and tall. Now if you use one leg, you're going to bend the other leg up and over and stretch. And you're going to hold here for a moment. And sit it up nice and tall. 2 more times. Tilt, scoop around the spine. Shift the shoulders behind the hips. Hold and pull deeper. If you can, take the hands off and get a little bit of a balance. Back into your C curve. Sit it up nice and tall. Either both legs or one leg up and over. Now we're not doing a full stretch here. If you want to stretch, which you should after each workout, then you can go to the stretch video that's later on the program, which has stretches for all the muscle groups. Sitting up nice and tall, and again, tilt, scoop. But if you can at least just stretch one set of muscles, if you're really busy and you don't have time for everything, then this is a good one. Then you put your hamstrings stretched at least for one day. Lifting it up and taking it over. Remember not to bounce, you want to just hold a stretch. And gently release. And we're going to just finish with a nice deep breath in. And shake it up. And shake it up. And there is your first workout.